Well, I made it. It is Vedette. I am here in a completely different world than when I did my last peace talks, and it has been, I don't even know how to begin to talk about it because it has been such a journey that is still like exploding, just truth bombs and clarity and understandings beyond anything else. I just want to give you a little scan of where I am. This, y'all, is the heaven I have been praying for and seeing and envisioning in my mind for for months now. As you can see, there are no buildings on top of each other. There's no construction. I was just sitting here before I started filming and was thinking, like, what all do I hear? And I do hear a car in the distance. I also heard there was some birds. I heard Pepe way down the hill. Like, Pepe is in mind-blowing experience after mind-blowing experience. This dog, it has not stopped since we've gotten here. Like, he goes out and he just runs the perimeter of the farm, and he way beyond, like, to where I'm really uncomfortable. And at the same time, like, he's ingrained and programmed to be a street dog. He knows how to survive. And any of our biggest fears that we have around here, I've literally seen the dog survive. So I've seen him outrun cars. I've seen him like dive between the tires. I don't know how he does it. But so getting hit by a car, yes, it's a possibility, but likely not. Coyotes, I literally saw him chase a coyote up the mountain that we used to hike on in Saranda. So that dog, I know, is not going to get caught. He is much faster, and his job as a herding dog is to protect the flock, and that means hurting us, and it also means for him to protect it and to get critters off, to keep critters off the farm. So he is in instinctual work mode, which is so amazing, and at the same time, it's a practice every day of letting go and just trusting that he knows his instincts and trusting those instincts for him to come back. And so far, he just keeps coming back multiple times a day. So he's off, like, he's off running somewhere in these hills. This is just a little town right below us here. I do have to keep my eye on Priya because she does not have the instincts, so she will get lost. So this is it. This is just me and these, my beautiful friends, nature. But this has been where I think after 2 years of being out of the country and 2 years being in complete and utter discomfort, and in the discomforts of being in Mexico and Ukraine and Albania and having I mean, there's so many deep layers of challenges that we faced, and it's the obvious ones of communication barriers and wars that were like making us leave Ukraine. The drive from Ukraine down to Albania to Saranda, our whole experience there, like all of it was, every single day was uncomfortable. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know how we were doing it. We weren't sure, like, from one month to the next, if we truly lived that nomadic lifestyle of, like, do we have enough to survive another month? Okay, so about next month we'd be like, oh shit, we did it. And it was just amazing. It was amazing all at the same time, because for 2 years I have lived, I'm like Pepe now. Like, he knows how to survive. I know how to survive. I can go to another part of the complete opposite part of the world from me, land somewhere, and I can survive. I know how to survive, and I know how to do it with a husband that he and I only got stronger during this. So we're invincible at this point. We are. What I'm realizing now as I sit here and I lived through the experience of leaving Saranda and the resistance that that came, it was like energetically, it was that final phase before you go from one world to the next, from one energetic vibration to another energetic vibration. When you move into a new into a new reality, into a new vibrational dimensional reality, you there's like, you know, that final friction that you have to work through, and that final friction is a motherfucker. And it was for me, but just leaving, like the energy was just holding on. And you know, we didn't, and that showed up as we didn't have the right crate for Pepe, so they wouldn't let me fly. But you know, they told me I could only fly with one dog, I couldn't take two, so we had Bud fly all the way over to Albania, meet me in the airport. We checked in for the next flight to go back, and that's when they're like, oh, Pepe's crate isn't big enough. And for hours we argued because I had a recorded conversation with Lufthansa customer service, them accepting the dimensions of the crate that I gave them for Pepe. But when I got to the airport and they wouldn't let me on because they said it wasn't the right size, I said, I have a recorded conversation with your customer care saying it is. And they would not listen to it. And they kept saying it was my responsibility to know the rules. And I was so defeated. I was so deflated. As Bud got on the plane with Priya, we at least, you know, were like, just get one of you back. So I had to figure it out in utter depletion, utter depression. My physical energy was at an all-time low. I barely could function. I could barely function. I was so depleted energetically and physically. But I did one more push, and I took a cab back into Tirana, which is a horrible city, you all. Like, you know, there's no smog checks there, so every car is like gassing the person behind them out with a plume of smoke. And you walk the streets, you can't get a deep breath at all because you're just huffing the car fumes, the exhaust. And it was so fucking uncomfortable because I was already in shallow breaths. And then, I mean, I was in the shallow. I was so in the shallow, y'all. I thought I was going to die. I kind of prayed that I would, because I was like, dying at this point would be, I'm not afraid of it, so it'd be better than having to do this. But I somehow managed to get a crate, and I somehow managed to get a ride back to the airport, and I somehow managed, you know, one step at a time just to get checked in, and I somehow was able to sit and manage my fears around sending Pepe into the chaos of, you know, underneath the airplane. I knew it would be a shitty fucking 15 hours for him. But when the conveyor belt came and I had to put his little crate on there, his eyes were so big. He was looking out of that crate, and he went in there so trustingly, but he did not want to go. And I just kept saying to him, babe, I will not ask you to do something this shitty if it wasn't worth it. Like, just trust me. Just let me show you what I promise you. Like, you go through this pain, and on the other side of this pain is going to be your heaven on earth. And I will tell you what, the fact that he's not here and he's just running freely as he has ever been, you know, because he knows he can come back and have a beautiful meal and a warm bed to cozy up and a best friend that's over there waiting on him. I don't know if you can see her. She's just laying over there just waiting on him to come back up the hill. You know, like, I think he'll tell you it was worth it. It was really worth going through all of that shit. And as I sit here, my body is depleted. So I have this head cold that's going on. And I'm just clearing out a lot of yuck that I know is 100% from the accumulation of being in a very polluted environment for the last 2 years all around. But most of the pollution was the inner pollution that I had. I was in fear, I was in anxiety, I was letting go of a lot of trauma, of doing a lot of emotional healing. I was in rehab, so to speak, these last 2 years, emotional rehab. And And that is now kind of where I'm being steered, is to like kind of get really strategic about what exactly happened in these 2 years, because that's not the last time you're going to hear emotional rehab. That's becoming a thing, and I know how to do it. I just have to distill it down to be able to teach it, to be able to share experiences in it. And it's a thing, because what I have seen from being outside of this land, and also inside of this land from a majority of my life, the world, humanity needs an emotional rehab. We are so addicted to all the things. We're addicted to all of it. And the addictions are taking over and causing disease of so many different kinds that we can't even see them anymore. When most of humanity can't see the problems that we are facing now that we never did before, and look at how we've always been doing it isn't working. When do we change it up a little bit? The fact that people aren't asking that yet blows my mind. It really does. So I'm going to keep speaking out. I'm going to keep tuning in. And I don't know what it's going to look like, but I do know that this world needs an emotional rehab, and I'm going to bring that. I've just done it. And I can sit here in the rawest state I've ever been in. But I can tell you, I'm crawling in on my hands and knees, but this is what I've seen as heaven on earth in some way or another. Mountains, fresh water, which is right down behind me, sun, seasons, plenty of space for the dogs. I didn't know where it was going to be, and maybe this isn't the last of the landing spaces, but if it's this or something even better than this, I'll take it all day long. So to me, this is I'm living my dream on heaven on earth. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to take it in for a minute and celebrate that I committed to rehab my emotional self completely, 100%, 180 degrees different in just the last couple of years. And it was intense. And I also can't imagine still being who I was 2 years ago. Pretty grateful. Anyway, I'm pretty grateful right now. The sun is amazing. I figure I should probably go at least kind of call for Pepe and just remind him of the direction that we live in case he's wandered a little further than I'm comfortable with. But again, animals run free here. Run free. My fears won't stop him. But if something else stops him before I'm ready, then that's what it's supposed to be. But I think he can outrun most things that we think would stop him, so he's good. All right, y'all, that's the catch up. I'm gonna be coming in and handing out some more just nuggets as they come to my mind, just to share, because there's a lot in here to unpack, and I'm quiet and sitting in the quiet unpacking most of these last 2 years. So thanks for letting me share. Bye.